Dear student, we said before that a human is the heart of the information system. It is the heart of the smartness of artificial systems. This is developed during the history of humanity. So we said before that the language itself permits a human to receive knowledge from the others and permits him to store this knowledge and to treat data and to reproduce the knowledge and to communicate it to others, to receive knowledge, save knowledge, develop this knowledge, and to send this knowledge to the others. So, with language we could talk about a common information system between humans. It is not only human who has this knowledge, but he can communicate it. Unfortunately, this communication was locally. It depends to the limit of the human, because human can speak before inventing writing. We could communicate with the others, but we should speak at the same time. We should have one person in front of us and to talk to him, to communicate our knowledge and to receive information from him. When we disappear, most of the time, the traces of this knowledge is limited by the people who heard us. What happened is the most important invention that permits to the human knowledge to be accumulated was writing. Writing is one of the most, for me, it is the most important invention. After that, there is another. We will see that the human civilization is accumulated with many inventions that permitted to us to retrieve the data with the eventual civilization today. Today we have a very developed information systems, but the heart of these systems are the registration of data, the treatment of data, and the communication of data. So with the invention of writing, we could register data. We could register information, because the first form of representation information was language. So when we write language, we can save the data. And furthermore, we started to use other opportunity of the human. We start to use the eye to receive the information, not only the ear. With the ear we can receive knowledge, but now we can receive knowledge by the eye also with invention data, with the invention writing system. And we could also communicate the information not only using the mouth, but using also the hand. So we start to extend the human knowledge. Furthermore, we can, using writing system, we use some type of asynchronous system to communicate data. What does mean asynchronous system? That means a human can develop its knowledge. He can, after that, write information. When he wrote information, after time, it is not necessary the producer of the data, of the information, and the user of this data be in the same time, in the same place. So at first, we invented these tools. We use stones, for example. We wrote on stones most of times. And when a human, for example, dead, another human could come and read this information. So we are not limited by the time. Human knowledge is accumulated, and data are registered in an external tool. The information are registered on an external tool. Before, it was registered mainly in the human mind. Now we can register information and knowledge in other tools. By the time it is not too far in the history, we saw that the invention of writing was almost 5000 BC, almost 700,000 years from our days. Almost 5,000 years ago, 2500 BC, in Egypt, we have a very important invention. It is the media of writing, how we write, on which we write. They used some paper that is produced, that is fabricated from pith of papyrus plant. We get the heart of this plant and we make papers and we wrote on this paper. This is very useful and very important invention in the history of the humanity, because we can transport knowledge now. We can transfer knowledge. You can transmit information easily. The same thing in the eventual Syria today, in Ibla, we used another type of portable media to register information. It was baked clay, and we have a library in Ibla that contain this type of media. Also in China, in 1000, it was later, almost more than 1000 years later, we wrote on bones. So we wrote information on bones. So all these media permitted human to transport data and information from one place to one place. The period of transportation was too long regarding our means of transportation today. So, but it was very useful to accumulate the human knowledge. So, when we talk about documents that may be transported by human, we can say that the information of human are accumulated, and we can talk about human civilization, because all the humanity can accumulate its knowledge. One of the most important inventions after writing was the number. It is not only the number, it is the number system. What is the difference between number and number system? Numbers is a type of standard tools to communicate information between people. When we say 1, 2, 3, 5, we have a standard representation of the environment around us. Especially, for example, nowadays we use units to measure. When we say 1 meter, 2 meter, we have a standard representation over the globe. Everywhere in the world, when we say 2 meters, 3 meters, we have a unique understanding of this measurement. So we use number for many goals, but this was a long history. It was not, people 5,000 ago had not the algorithm that we have today to calculate. For example, when a child of 7 years these days use the addition and subtraction, multiplication, we don't pay attention that these algorithms are not evident. They were invented due to the digital system, due to number systems. 3000 before Christ, we had in Babylon civilization some forms of number. They invented 1 for 1, we duplicate it to have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What they invented, it is a different symbol for 10. So we invented 10 in Babylon civilization. After that we have 11, 12. 11 it is 10 with 1. 12 it is 10 with 2, etc. So we could continue till 60. Most of time we used numbers imaging till 60. We didn't have a complex system to represent what happened around us, to represent all of the world. With a Greek civilization, we invented another type of system of numbers. We used the letters to represent number. We have 1, the alpha, beta, gamma, etc. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What is important also, we can combine 1 with 10 to have 11. So it is also a developed system regarding this period, but it was 3,300 before Christ. So it is almost 2,300 years ago. It is not very ancient in the history. After that, the Roman civilization also used similar technique. So we used a symbol. It was I for 1, 2, we duplicate I. 3, we use 3 symbol of I. 4, it is 5, 5, say it's V. V minus I, it is 4. V, it is 5. So we have a symbol for 1, a symbol for 5, a symbol for 9, a symbol for 10, it's X, a symbol for 50, L, a symbol for 100, it is C, a symbol for 500 is D, symbol for 1000 it is M. And every time when we needed other larger numbers, we should invent other symbols. Most of time even D and M were not used a lot. So we were also limited by the quantities that we can treat with these numbers. But regarding the time, it was important. These numbers were very important, and the calculation was not so easy. After that, we invented the calculation, that a system that we can calculate, a system that permits to execute algorithms. It is due to the Islamic civilization we invented not only the zero. The most important element was the zero, but it was the system that can be used to treat data. So with this system we can use algorithm. For example, multiplication, it is a type of algorithm that we apply on this data. We represent, for example, 23 and 14, and we make a type of multiplication on these numbers, and we have a results. So we work as user of this. There is some people who invented this algorithm, but there is another people who use this algorithm. Most of the time when we apply this algorithm, we don't think about the correctness of these algorithms. We only merely users of this algorithm. Nowadays, every person use this type of calculation. Even in the PC, we use similar techniques for multiplication. So this digital system permits not only to represent data, but it permits to manipulate data. Nowadays, with the new technology, we don't represent only numbers in such way to manipulate the data, but also we try to represent everything in a code in the PC. But what is important is to be able to treat this code. It is not only the digital representation that is important. The importance comes also from the ability to treat this data. So digital does not mean convert into the digital, but to convert into a code that is be able to manipulate it. In the same period, this is very important because data is related to treatment. Represent digital is related to treatment. As I talked in the previous slide, digital system with zero, with algorithm to treat the addition, subtraction, etc., is invented in the same time when we invented algorithms. So it is in the same year, almost in this period, 800 AD, we invented the variable, the first order equation, second order equation. We invent algebra. All these were together. So how we represent the data is very important because it is related to the ability to develop algorithms to treat this data. This is available today because when we talk about an information system, we should find the best way to represent the data in order to manipulate these data.